Bowen Ducharme, Willie Dersch, and Norman Nolan. What a season Norman Nolan has had. Averaging 21 points and 9 rebounds a game. He needs a huge game here this evening. For Duke, the starting lineup, Sean McLeod starts. Elton Brand is back. What a difference he has made. Shane Battier, Trajan Langdon, and Steve Wojciechowski. Wojo under the weather. Slept most of the day, but they still have Trajan Langdon, averaging 16 points, 3 rebounds a game. What a season he has had. 90% from the free throw line.
Well, you look at Langdon, you look at McLeod, they're going to go against Staples and Nolan. Those one guy on the outside, another guy on the inside. And in fact, during the season, Langdon and McLeod, if you combine what they did against Virginia, they scored 68 points against the Cavaliers, while Staples and Nolan scored 77 points against the Blue Devils.
The officials, Larry Rose, Carl Hassan, Stan Rote, and the Cavaliers of Virginia will have the ball first. Duke in a man-to-man.
Of course, that is the basic defense for the Blue Devils.
Here's Nolan way out front, underneath, and Hand has the bucket. Cavaliers on the board first.
And Battier just throws the ball over Wojo's shoulder.
Already 1 turnover for the Blue Devils. Look at Jeff Jones in his 8th year as head coach, his 20th year in Charlottesville as a student and a player and a coach.
On a speculation that if the Cavaliers lose this game, it may be Jeff Jones' last game as the coach at Virginia. Man-to-man for Duke. Again, we mentioned Wojciechowski under the weather yesterday and today.
Exactly what you talked about. They have to protect the ball, not turn it over, and Hand throws it away.
And here's where Duke, with Brand back in the lineup, they have that inside option. Nice job by Hand to drop down inside. But if you have to drop down inside against Elton Brand, then Mike Krzyzewski in his 18th year at Duke, well, his team's got an option. They can kick it outside to some guys who can shoot the 3 pretty well.
Brand missed 15 games with that broken foot before returning for the final 3 in the regular season. This foul is against Dersch, his first. Wojo has a look. This is for 3.
Now Virginia would like to get the ball up the court. They don't want to get in a transition game against Duke, Tim, but by the same token, they'd like to get some easy baskets when they can. You don't want to make your living playing against the set Duke defense every time. Brand available to push inside against Nolan.
Here's Nolan. Drop step, turnaround jumper, yes!
And that's under pressure. Battier came to help, and Nolan still got that nice, smooth turnaround jumper.
Cavaliers out to a 4-0 lead. McLeod inside, block, taken away by Nolan.
Langdon right at the moment is shadowing Curtis Staples, and Langdon right up against Staples. Langdon not helping out the way you normally would on a man-to-man defense at all.
Turnover Cavaliers, and they get it right back. This foul is going to be on Ducharme.
And that's actually not a bad foul on Ducharme. Ducharme tends to get in foul trouble. That's his first foul. Have to keep an eye on Wojciechowski. And Jeff Jones is really after Donald Hand right at the moment, because that was a bad turnover. That was a transition turnover. Duke's able to take the ball from you and get down the court.
Well, Hand did a good thing and a bad thing. He was going on the transition, pulled it out, tried to set the offense, but threw it away. This is touched by Nolan. Duke basketball. Just underway, 18:06 to play in the first half. It's Virginia 4. Duke has yet to score.
Jeff Jones has seen Duke try to attack inside almost exclusively early in the game. Boy, and Brand is demanding the ball inside. I think if he wants it, I give it to him.
Good, strong power move. And Brand scores and puts the Blue Devils up in lights. Staples. 3.
Tim, that time Langdon forgot who he was guarding, and he dropped off to help out. And he realized at the last minute what he was doing, tried to get back, but not in time.
7-2 Virginia.
And that's Staples can get open for that three in transition. Langdon's got to find him, even though it's in transition. 3-second violation against Brand. Now Curtis Staples, it's not often that he finds himself all alone. You can see the feet of Langdon as he realizes that he's too far away from Staples, and even though McLeod tries to come and help, it's too late.
Second turnover for Duke. Cavaliers by 5. Back to Gersh. Inside. Nolan has it blocked.
And there, and Ducharme just picked up his second foul. Tim, and there is a weapon that really brings Duke's game into some focus. Now, Brand is going to miss as he tries to go for the steal. Great help from McLeod, but Brand gets the ball, and he starts the fast break with the dribble. Great help out by McLeod. Good block, but Brand starts the fast break by dribbling out of there, picks up the foul from Ducharme.
Ducharme, one of the most intense players for the Cavaliers, goes out of the game. Hunter comes in.
Nolan slapped that one away.
Ball still belongs to the Blue Devils.
And that's a good call. Nolan definitely slapped that one away. The Blue Devils, you know, Virginia only averages 66 points a game. And so you'd like to put more points on the board. You'd like to get the game into the 80s if you can, because that's a game that Virginia just doesn't play very successfully.
But Duke has been successful, especially with the threes early on and blowing people out early. But not here. It's a 5-point lead for the Cavaliers.
That ball didn't touch anything, so
Nolan gets it back.
Virginia's defense has been pretty good. And again, if you're going to score in the 60s or in the low 70s, then you're likely to get a game from these Virginia Cavaliers.
They're looking inside to Nolan.
That's probably a pretty good idea.
Right over top of Brand, can't get it to go down. This is for 3.
And I think Dersh is going to be called for the foul.
He does.
He was hanging on there, wasn't any question.
That's his second.
And Virginia now really hurt. Dersh, he's got Battier, and he's just holding him. And then he pushes him just as the ball comes down.
Battier goes out. Carrawell comes in. Carrawell has hit double figures in 13 of his last 16 games.
You know, we played 4 minutes, and Duke only has 2 points.
Marcaccini comes in for Virginia. This is Wojo. Watch this. Strong moves inside.
That is just pure power in there.
He is 6'8", 260 pounds, and I mean strong. Staples. Ball's loose. Wojo comes up with it. Over to Langdon, beyond the arc. Yes!
They can score points in a hurry, can't they?
Wow.
You know, Staples has the quickest release in college basketball, but Langdon's isn't far behind.
Duke is not led, but now it's tied at 7.
And I think they got Brand.
15-13 to play in the first half, and we are tied at 7.
Early in the game, Duke has been trying to pound it inside, and when you do that with Elton Brand, he can certainly pound. That time against Norman Nolan, that's an even battle weight-wise. Now, this time against Chris Hunter, and that is a mismatch, particularly when nobody drops down to help. Hunter gets himself in the air, and Brand powers it to the basket. 2 Elton Brand field goals inside, a Trajan Langdon 3, and Duke has 7.
Brand will get a breather now. Chris Burgess comes into the ball game for Duke. Here's Nolan inside. Bucket's good, and he's fouled.
Now, we just showed you some inside power for Duke, but that is inside power by Norman Nolan. Burgess got picked off. Duke playing the man-to-man defense on the inbounds play, and Burgess gets picked off. This is the end of the play. Nolan is able to get him up in the air, and despite the foul, get the ball to go in the goal.
Now, Dan, a lot has been said about the Cavaliers' play this year. Lack of fan support, and of course Jeff Jones, but you can't take anything away from Nolan. He has been sensational.
Tim, the Cavaliers' play hasn't been successful, but I'll tell you what, all year long, even in the face of adversity, these kids have continued to play very, very hard. No faulting the Cavalier effort, that's for sure.
Here's McLeod, takes it inside, scores.
Man, these are the different kind of looks that Duke can give you. Here, Brand is the power guy inside. Now, McLeod, he's the leading three-point shooter for Duke percentage-wise, and so you got to respect him out there, and then he just drives to the basket.
Cavaliers by 1.
Yeah, Wojciechowski looks like he's been sick, huh? He's all over the place out there.
I feel his pain.
Don't go there.
You can hear my pain. Here's Watson with the jumper. Boy, he had a good look and couldn't put it down.
And Carawell now in the game guarding Staples. Duke will rotate a couple of guys on him.
Cloud's shot is short. Here's the follow. That's for 2 by Trajan Langdon. He has 5 points.
Boy, as well as Duke can score anyway, Tim, you can't give them second opportunities. Here's Carawell. He's about 6'6" with those long arms. If he stays close to Staples, that'll make life difficult for the Virginia senior.
Duke with a 1-point lead. Oh, look at Hunter inside. Oh! Hunter again. Knocked out by Duke. It'll be Virginia ball. Chris Hunter with some good effort inside.
And Hunter did a nice job because he was wide open under the basket, and Nolan did miss him. And you don't expect Norman Nolan to be passing the ball in there, but Hunter was alone, but he didn't get discouraged by that, Tim. He went right to the board.
Hand comes back into the ball game. Staples had a notion. Now he pulls the trigger.
That was a nice job by Carawell to force him to reset.
That's for 2. His first bucket of the night.
Boy, Avery really showing a nice move. He took that ball up in the face of 3 defenders.
3-point Duke lead, their largest lead of the game. Nolan way out front. Staples left alone.
Boy, and that's not going to help Virginia. Staples had an open look at the basket, Tim, and he's got to heat up for the Cavaliers to have any chance at all.
The Blue Devils starting to run, too. Here's Avery again. Yes.
And how nice is that? You bring a guy off the bench, and right away he gets 2 field goals.
22nd timeout by the Cavaliers of Virginia. Duke's lead is 5 with 12:45 to play in the first half. Nations Bank, a corporate partner of the Atlantic Coast Conference, presents this Salute to Excellence question. Who is the only Virginia player ever named to an NCAA All-Final Four team? Stay tuned. We'll have that answer for you before the end of the game. Here's a look at Wojo. Suffering with symptoms of the flu, but playing hard. You can hardly tell.
We mentioned William Avery, who was in the game for Wojo. That time, hand gets picked off. Nolan doesn't come and help, and as a result, Avery has a lane to the basket, and that young man is extremely aggressive, and he's able to get it in for the score.
Staples 1 for 3 beyond the arc. Here's McAndrew. His shot is blocked. Battier batted it away. For 3. Yes!
And that
Avery, 3 in a row.
And that blocked shot is almost like a turnover. The Duke defense does a great job at converting right away to the offensive end.
William Avery with 7 points. Inside to Nolan.
They just don't have an answer for Nolan on the inside. It appears obvious that Staples needs to heat it up, and Virginia's going to have to get some contributions from other folks, though. Nolan can't do it all by himself.
Battier just goes right around McAndrew.
Easy opportunities for Duke on the offensive end, Tim. Virginia's defense breaking down a little bit.
Duke starting to pull away.
Now Battier matched up against Staples.
Staples for 3. Boy, when he's going to the left, he is deadly.
They think he's made a few of those 412 going the other way, too.
I agree with that. I agree with you. But he never misses going left.
Man-to-man for Virginia.
Here's Brand, a little jump hook.
Now, that was a force by Brand. Got to recognize when he's double and triple teamed and find the open man.
And taking his time, melting a little clock. He shortened the game, and it benefits Virginia. Staples. Look at Wojo coming up with a rebound.
Nice pass.
Wojciechowski, splash for three.
Tim, right now, the pace of the game, which started out at a Virginia pace, Duke has really picked up the tempo. And it's just hard for Virginia to manufacture points. And that's a charge.
Against Curtis Staples. His first. Boy, and all of a sudden, Duke is out to a 23-15 lead with 10:19 to play first half. Jackets of Georgia Tech and the Maryland Terrapins matchup. That'll be followed by NC State and Carolina. What a match that should be. NC State with a 65-63 win tonight against Florida State. Then coming up tomorrow, Clemson Tigers against Wake Forest at 7 p.m. Check your local listings. All here on the Atlantic Coast Conference Basketball Network. Well, Duke's gotten a hot hand. 23-15 after the Cavaliers got out to an early lead.
Tim, Duke has made 9 of its last 11 field goals. Elton Brand with 2 field goals early, and Duke has gotten some easy baskets. But when you have the kind of offensive weapons that Duke possesses, it's tough to keep a tight lid on everybody, and Virginia just hadn't kept the lid on at all.
Avery came off the bench and hit 3 in a row, but he turns it over here to Staples. Donald Hand. He's been the point most of the night. Inside, they try to go, and Brand takes it away.
Now you want to go, you want to look at Nolan every time down the court, but you have to be careful that you don't force it in there. Duke doing a nice job defensively.
Cavaliers with 4 turnovers. Wojo. Wojciechowski 1 for 2 now beyond the arc.
Tim, we mentioned the Virginia Cavaliers average only 66 points per game. So in a game like this, they've really got to get it going on the offensive end to keep pace with the Blue Devils.
A lot of contact.
Oh, that's another offensive foul. And Staples had that offensive foul call on Tim because he threw the arm out trying to protect the ball. Wojciechowski surprises him a little bit there, and there Staples throws that arm out, and that's the signal for the referee that it's an offensive foul.
So 2 quick ones on Curtis Staples. 9:23 to play. 8-point Duke lead.
Man-to-man for Virginia.
Langdon.
Oh, that's a tough shot.
Running one-hander doesn't go down.
That's a couple of times down the court. Duke not real patient on the offensive end. When McLeod really pushing inside against Nolan.
Hand's done a pretty nice job. Here's a shot for 2, and Nolan with the rebound and the putback.
Tim, he got that rebounded flat-footed, holding McLeod off with one arm.
Wow. Roman Nolan with 9 points. Watch this. Brand again inside. Fell off that one a little bit, and the Cavaliers get it.
Brand going against Descharm that time. Descharm with 2 fouls, had to be careful.
Virginia hanging tough here in the first half.
Duke has stayed in the man-to-man now. I think we're going to get a foul against Langdon. Hanging on to Willie Dersh.
That's 2 on Trajan Langdon.
You know, you talk about a guy who knows how to get position. Look at Nolan. He just locks it in there. McLeod doing everything he can to push him out of the way. There's 3 guys around, and Nolan establishes great position, holds that position, gets the ball, and gets the conversion. That is textbook on how you do the job on the offensive board.
We talked about Eldon Brandon, but Nolan's a wide body as well at 6'8", 253 pounds. This time they're going to call Brand with the push. That's his first. Interesting first half. Cavaliers playing well, 23-17. Duke with 8:13 to play in the first half. Shot clock has not even been a factor. Avery is called for the foul. Hand actually lost the ball, and Avery grabbed it.
That's a good job by Virginia, though, to stay in the attack mode on offense. You actually have to try against Duke. You've got to try to take the ball toward the basket, because if you do much fiddling around out on the perimeter, that pressure is eventually going to get you.
Dan, you have the feeling, though, every possession for the Cavaliers is huge.
Yes, you do, and they do not do a good job with the conversion right there. And this is a tough spot for Virginia with Staples out of the game. Nolan is really the only offensive player they have.
You said they can't turn it over. Virginia has given it back 6 times already in the first half. They came out with the all-conference team this week. Here's a look at the first team. You see anybody missing? I thought Norman Nolan would have been in there. Well, ACC's third leading scorer and rebounder.
Nolan was number 6 in terms of votes, and you can certainly make an argument for Norman Nolan, Tim, but I think when you look at that first team, you say, well, who would you take off? And I think the guys on that first team certainly deserve to be there.
Hand knocks it off Avery. It'll be Cavalier basketball.
Where did the ball go? Bounced off my leg.
Larry Rose has it. Another turnover for Dan Bonner.
I left the ball went under my chair. I was down there looking for it.
You know, surprisingly, that's 4 turnovers already for Duke. Durst gets it inside to Nolan. They double down on him. Watson was left alone. Into the paint, and it's blocked.
Well, again, and there Duke loses the ball.
A reminder to be sure to check out the ACC.com, the official website of the ACC, for the latest scores and interesting insights into the life in the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Tim, now, Duke never got possession of that ball, so technically the shot clock has not been restarted, and Staples off the bench drills a 3.
Curtis Staples makes it a 3-point game. Boy, Carrawell almost had to get away from it. And this foul is going to be called under the basket.
Avery tried to draw the foul and it fell down on that 3-point shot. I don't know that there was any contact there at all.
No, this foul is called on Norman Nolan, and that's his first.
Nolan battling inside against Battier. And we showed the previous replay where he did a good job holding his position on the offensive end. That time on the defensive end, he just pushed Battier out of bounds.
17 fouls on Virginia, so Battier will be at the line shooting 1-1. Boy, clanks the first one. Staples comes down with a rebound.
Now, Tim, it has been a while since Duke scored. They put on that spurt. But Virginia has contained him here the last couple of minutes. That is a tough pass.
And Nolan has it taken away. Boy, you have the feeling, though, that Duke is just ready to explode. Cavaliers have played well. Wojo got away with a walk.
And for Virginia, you got to help against him.
Brand walks.
That's just one big body banging on another, and that time Nolan won.
And there's a handful of turnovers now for the Blue Devils. Interesting game so far.
Well, Duke has shown that they can really put some points on the board offensively, but we said that if they're not going to get transition baskets, then they have to be patient enough on the offensive end to take good shots, and they really have not done that, except for the ones first.
Staples trying to get a pick from Nolan. They double him. Shot clock now down to 10. Here goes Nolan in the paint.
That's good defensive sequence by Duke.
See if they turn it into points. Here's Langdon for 3.
That's Duke in transition, Tim, and that's where they are the best. And Wojciechowski smelled that one coming down the court. I heard him calling to Langdon, and he told Langdon where to stop, threw him the ball, and Langdon drove it.
Trajan Langdon now has hit 71 threes this year. Here's Nolan. Tough one one-hander, and Duke has it.
Double team from the inside that time.
3-on-2. McLeod throws it back to Wojo.
Oh, another one of those flat-footed rebounds. Nolan has had more 10-rebound games than any other player in the ACC, and he's got 5 already.
He's led Virginia in rebounding the last 2 years. I think the biggest thing about Norman this year is his offense. He's gotten so aggressive.
Staples.
6-point game as we approach the 5-minute mark in the first half. Jump ball, possession error belongs to Duke. Stay tuned at halftime for Bell South's You Call the Play feature. A look at big plays from past ACC games. Steve Martin will be along at halftime.
Virginia's got 20 points, Tim. Nolan's got 9. Staples has 9. Hand has 2. Virginia really needs to get some contribution from some other folks.
Here's Langdon right down the lane. And the putback in the foul. This foul, boy, if that's against Ducharme, that's 3.
And it is.
It is.
That was just a mismatch inside created by the penetration. When Langdon comes down the lane, help has to come. Ducharme leaves his guy. Dersch cannot block out Burgess. Dersch tries to slide down there right on the right-hand side of your screen to block out Burgess. Burgess just too big and strong.
And he makes the free throw. Chris Burgess, a freshman from California, has struggled at the line this year, hitting just 24 of his 70 free throws.
He actually looked pretty good on that free throw. When I've seen him before, he's been falling back on his free throw, and he didn't do that.
Just barely clanged the rim.
Got to shoot it a little further.
7-point lead with 4.5 to play. You mentioned that Staples and Nolan have all but 2 of the points, and that's been the problem all year. They've been the high score in 28 of 29 of the games.
Tim, you look at particularly the second game that these teams played against one another. That first game you really sort of have to throw out because it was just a Duke blowout. But in the second game, Virginia scored 65 points. Nolan and Staples between them had 42. The rest of the team had 23, so the disparity isn't quite like it is today.
That foul on McLeod was his first.
If nobody else is even going to look at the basket, that's going to make it very difficult for Nolan and Staples to get going. And there, Marcaccini, not looking for anything else except the pass inside, walks with the ball.
Dan, that's 9 first-half turnovers for the Cavaliers.
Tim, on the year, Virginia has 137 more turnovers than its opposition. And as a result, the opposition gets more shots than Virginia. Virginia loses the opportunity to shoot the basketball when they turn it over.
Air ball.
And Chappelle
I'll tell you what,
caught for the foul.
McLeod was not even close with that shot.
I think Nolan may have gotten a hand on it. And Chappelle, speaking of having a hand on things, he had his hand on Staples' back, and so Staples is going to go to the line for the one-on-one.
Duke now over the limit at 17 fouls.
And Tim, keep in mind, as much as Virginia has struggled offensively in this game, Curtis Staples is in there with 2 personal fouls. And so if he picks up his 3rd personal foul, Virginia's offense could really be in trouble.
Curtis Staples, a 78% free throw shooter. This is the first one. Boy, you hate to give it up on the front end. Here, Nolan comes back with a rebound.
Now, you can't say that Virginia has not had their opportunities. They've done a nice job on the defensive end with the exception of that one spurt where Duke made 9 of 11 field goals, but the Cavaliers simply have not been able to capitalize on the offensive end. And that's not to say that it's easy because Duke guards you pretty well. But
it's still only a 7-point game with 3:43 to play in the first half. Cavaliers hanging around, trailing by 7 with 3:43 to go in the first half. And all the scoring has come from Norman Nolan and Curtis Staples. You take out 1 2-pointer from Hand, and that's it.
Well, it's going to be tough to beat a team of Blue Devils from Duke that get such balanced scoring and have so many weapons.
The winner of this game gets a bye into Saturday's semifinals.
He's one of those guys that when he comes out to guard you, you just hate it. You just like to take him and smack him, and there's a 5-second violation. He is just one of those pesky guys that.
Well, he plays defense with his feet. That's where it starts, and he's awfully good at it.
Well, he is as good as anybody I've seen all year, Tim, at getting that 5-second call on the dribble. It's just he just doesn't get far enough away from you to make the count start again.
Hunter gets the block. Chappelle gets it back. Carrawell got away with a walk. How about that? You know, I thought Burgess may have been in the cylinder.
Well, he certainly put the ball in the cylinder.
And it counts, and it's a 9-point lead.
But here Duke, they're not playing real effectively on the offensive end, but they're getting it done enough that they're gradually pulling away, and their Hunter misses a dunk.
Look out.
See, when Norman Nolan passes the ball to a guy like that inside and he doesn't convert, then Nolan thinks, well, then, you know, the next time I'll just shoot it myself. Oh, what a great rebound by Carrawell. That is fantastic. Marcaccini doing a nice job recovering that ball, but Carrawell nearly tipped that away.
Duke with its largest lead at 9 points with 2.5 minutes to play first half.
They stay in the man-to-man. Virginia now on a long scoring drought.
Boy, Hand's going to have to take that shot. Here's Hunter.
Well,
with a high percentage shot.
Well, he's 1 for 2 on those now. He missed the last one.
Wojciechowski wants a timeout. Mike Krzyzewski wants to talk.
And it's a 20.
With 2:03 to play in the first half. Well, the Cavaliers, though, still hanging around, Dan.
Tim, there's no question that Virginia is doing a nice job staying in the game. That time, nobody blocks out Burgess. Everybody focused on Carrawell shooting the ball, and Burgess able to sneak in there.
Told you coming in.
Spectators of all ages here in the Greensboro Coliseum.
Duke is deeper, more talented, bigger, and this is on paper a mismatch, but it's only a 7-point game. This is the 5th time this year that Virginia has played the #1 team in the country. Amazing.
Well, I think the most amazing number there is that Duke and Carolina has each spent so much time during the year as the #1 team, and that's one of the reasons why folks are saying that the Atlantic Coast Conference deserves some real special consideration for the NCAA tournament.
Brand keeps it alive, now kicks it out.
Well, again, Virginia with another opportunity to cut into the lead. They got 2 back on the previous possession. They got to stop. Now they're looking for more.
Inside again to Nolan. Looking for help. Hand. Well, Donald Hand has to put that shot down when he's left alone. We're approaching the 1-minute mark in the first half. McLeod takes it right down the middle.
Boy, Nolan with another rebound. Nice job by Nolan to recover. Sometimes when your man beats you, Tim, a guy will stand there and watch, but not Nolan. He went right down inside, got himself in good position for the rebound.
Dan, under a minute to play. Cavaliers will spread the floor. 48 on the game clock, 19 on the shot clock.
And even though Virginia spreads the floor, Wojciechowski standing right next to Staples. And their Hand with the good drive to the bucket.
Hand with the running one-hander. 29-24, Duke.
Tim, and right at the moment, the pace of this game is in that 60-point range that Virginia is most comfortable playing.
Shot clock is off. Game clock down to 15 seconds. Wojo will move at 10.
Mike Krzyzewski says, okay now.
Down to 6.
Looking for Langdon.
3 seconds left. 1. How about this? It's a 5-point game at the half with the #1 and #9 seeds. that Duke is ready to explode.
Tim, the Blue Devils certainly were not as effective on the offensive end in the first half as we have seen them most of the season. The Virginia Cavaliers doing a pretty good job on the defensive end.
Cavaliers will have it first. This is Donald Hand. He had 4 points in the first half.
Man-to-man defense once again for the Blue Devils. And here's Wojciechowski close to the 5-second call, and he's got it.
And he was yelling 5 as he was covering it.
Keep in mind, Wojo's sick yesterday, in bed during the day today, and he's still out there with some tremendous effort. We mentioned Wojciechowski just does a great job moving his feet, and despite the fact that Hand gives him some dribble moves, Wojciechowski stays within the 6 feet, keeps the 5-second count going.
Langdon kicks it back out. Here's McLeod, loses it on the way up, and he's fouled.
Nolan going to pick up that foul. That turnover for Virginia, though, not a transition turnover. Duke still has to come down and play against the set Virginia defense, and they have not had a lot of success when the Cavaliers have been able to set the defense tonight.
Rashawn McLeod, he's averaged a team high 18 points and 7 rebounds in ACC games this year. He's played well all year. 70% free throw shooter, and Duke showing more emotion in the first half minute here than we saw in the first half. Norman Nolan picked up his second personal.
Well, it's an indication of how Duke has struggled on the offensive end. McLeod only 2 points in the first half. You know, we said that Duke to be comfortable in this game, they'd like to get the game into the 80s and 90s. Right now, the game at halftime is on a pace to be in the 50s.
McLeod became a captain of this team February 23rd. He makes it a 31-24 game.
And Virginia has got to score to keep pace. It's not as silly as it sounds. You don't want Duke to get big runs, and the only way you can prevent big runs is to score consistently.
Wojo almost had the steal. Down inside they go to Nolan.
And what a traffic jam he dribbles into, and he's going to get called for 3 seconds. And
turnover
again,
number 11.
And again, Tim, you notice Nolan gets the ball inside, and his first look is shoot. He had to, in fact, his first and second and third look was to see how he could get the shot up. And by the time he realized that he had to pass the ball, it was too late.
Good movement. Here's Lang. Nolan with another rebound. The shots just won't drop for Trajan. 9 rebounds now for Norman Nolan.
You mentioned Nolan with 16 games this year with 10 or more rebounds, the most in the ACC. Brand got hit in the face and decided, hey, maybe I ought to fall down, although Durst picks up the foul right there. And as Brand gets more experience, he'll fall down as soon as he gets hit in the face, not wait a couple of minutes.
That's 3 personals on Willie Durst.
Durst gets that arm out there, and again, there wasn't all that much contact there, but Durst gets that left arm out, and because that left arm goes shooting out, he picks up the foul.
31-24 Duke.
That's good help inside, and a nice job by Brand to pitch it back out.
McLeod had a look. Here he goes, tries to bank it in. Nolan with another rebound.
Virginia doing a nice job being very physical on the defensive end. Nothing easy for the Duke Blue Devils.
Not a lot of movement offensively for Virginia.
Well, Langdon has done a nice job staying right with Curtis Staples.
Hand left alone. This is for 3. Gets his own rebound. Good job to kick it back out and reset.
Staples moving without the ball, but Langdon doing a nice job staying with him. That is a tough, tough 3-point shot. Boy, and Brand just shrugged Ducharme off.
Ahead to McLeod, left alone, and he misses in tight. I believe they called this foul on Battier. And that's his first.
Langdon doing a great job staying with Curtis Staples. Staples doing everything he can, a couple of jab steps, able to get the shot off, but it was a highly contested shot. Good defense.
William Avery back in the ball game.
Another
does a nice job defensively on Hand.
That's 3 times today that Hand has had a 5-second violation called on him while dribbling the basketball.
Avery's playing a nice game tonight, Danny. He came in, he had 7 points, and here he forces a turnover. He now goes out of the ball game, and Chesley Watson checks in. 12 turnovers now for the Cavaliers.
Well, it's difficult as Duke has made life for the point guard, usually Hand. I don't know if I'm Watson. I'm particularly interested in getting in this game. Nice pass.
McLeod, yes.
Well, now Duke once again, they're not scoring in great numbers, but Virginia not able to put the ball in the goal, and so Duke gradually pulling away.
Duke with a 9-point lead, trying to add to that. Ahead to McLeod again. Tough shot, and he puts it in.
But that's Duke playing in transition, Tim. Duke in transition is so dangerous.
Blue Devils with their largest lead of the game with 16:39 to play. Oh, McLeod with a tough shot and extends that Duke lead.
Their defense, Virginia can't handle the ball. Duke did not get very many transition opportunities in the first half. It's a good thing for Virginia because Duke, once they get out and run, they are extremely dangerous, even when they have tough shots on the offensive end. Rashawn McLeod now with 8 points in the basketball game. Virginia, Tim, in this half has not scored. They're 0 for 2. They have 5 turnovers. It's tough to score when you only shoot the ball twice every 7 times down the court.
The Duke Blue Devils trying to pull off a rare feat. The regular season title and the tournament title. Duke has won 5 ACC regular season titles in the 90s, but only 1 ACC tournament championship. William Avery picks up his 2nd personal.
Boy, Brand and Nolan really banging on it.
Battier and McLeod ran
Another
each other.
turnover. Hand gets it back, though.
And McLeod is called for the foul. That'll be his 2nd personal. Man, a lot of bodies back.
You know, Tim, you would probably be able to analyze that better than I, because on that block that he attempted to throw, he didn't get his head and shoulders in front. There's Nolan and Brand we're talking about. That's what you call hand-to-hand combat.
A lot of bodies banging out here tonight. This foul's called on Brand.
Well, now, we just showed you that sequence where Brand and Nolan were basically having a fist fight. And that time, Brand got called for the foul. Not as much contact right there.
Call that hand-to-Brand contact.
Hand-to-Brand, there you go. The reason that foul was called is because Nolan had the ball and was dribbling toward the basket. And it was obvious to everybody.
John Madry feeding us our written ad-libs. 35-24 Duke with 16:10 to play. Nolan underneath. Jump ball, and the possession arrow belongs to the Blue Devils.
Another turnover. And 7 turnovers in this half for the Virginia Cavaliers. 15 for the game. Jeff Jones knows as well as anybody else that it's hard to win the game when you're not scoring any points.
Now at the other end, Coach K working hard, trying to get his team into a movement offense. Here's McLeod. And the putback by Battier.
Now Duke coming with some pressure, trying to force the tempo of this game just a little bit, making it hard for the Cavaliers to get it in bounds.
Blue Devils with their largest lead. Hunter not even close with his shot.
Now Virginia's going to take bad shots. Duke is just the type of team to make them pay for it.
Here's McLeod again. He made it look easy.
Well, so now Duke on a 10-0 run to start the second half. McLeod has 10 now.
Cavaliers need a basket badly. Just starting to fall off the charts after being down just 7 at the half. Hunter again, brick, and here's Nolan.
Going to get called for that foul. One of the things that the Duke defense has done extremely effectively is Nolan picks up his 3 fouls. Tim, look who is taking the shots for Virginia. It's Hunter, it's Hand. And it's not Staples and Nolan. Virginia has not been able to get the ball into the hands of their scorers in shooting position.
And I know you give Duke a lot of credit for that. Every time Nolan touches it, they double down on him, sometimes triple him, and they're shadowing Staples all over the court.
Now the Duke defense, they've struggled offensively, but their defense has been pretty solid.
Defense is relentless, very aggressive and intense. Pretty good matchup here with Langdon and Staples.
That's good defense. And Ducharme is going to pick up his fourth personal. So Ducharme with 4, Nolan with 3. The problem's starting to add up for the Cavaliers.
Ducharme at this rate is going to have an early exit.
We've seen Langdon doing a great job against Staples on the defensive end. Now Staples sort of changes roles right there, turns the tables on Langdon, makes a good defensive play, but Duke has done a nice job in the second half picking up loose balls, getting second chance opportunities, and Battier converts there.
Battier is a pretty good free throw shooter, 73% on the year, only averages 8.7 rebounds and 2 blocks, which is, you know, that's pretty good numbers. He's really become a complete player, worked hard, certainly one of the top defenders in the conference.
Oh boy, somebody had the cloud by the shirt. I don't know that they caught the culprit, Battier, and he can pick up a foul.
He volunteered, put his hand up in a hurry. And he'll take a seat. Chris Burgess comes in to take Battier's place. 14:27 to play now.
And Duke on an 11-0 run here in the second half.
And it's gotten awfully quiet in the Greensboro Coliseum. 45th annual ACC Tournament. These are always fun. Had a good one to start things off. NC State beating Florida State 65-63. Florida State had a shot at the buzzer and couldn't put it down.
Well, now Carawell's all over Staples.
Here's Nolan. And he rolls it in to end the drought.
You know, the numbers that he puts up are absolutely amazing because he gets that kind of pressure every game.
Carawell is hammered, and that'll be number 5, I believe, if that's on Ducharme.
And it is.
It is.
A very frustrating evening for Colin Ducharme.
Well, he's the 3rd leading scorer for UVA, and he's going to have the early exit here. No points tonight.
Carawell driving to the basket, and this is a play where Ducharme, I guess, decided that he had the 4 fouls. He may as well go after the play, but that's not a very good foul.
Ducharme comes up with no points. Remember, he had those 16 points against Clemson and was a big contributor.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that it's hard to contribute from the bench, and Ducharme was out pretty much in the first half with foul trouble. He only played 8 minutes in the first half. A very, very frustrating evening for Colin Ducharme.
So Chris Carawell goes to the line. He's at double figures in 13 of his last 16 games. Hits that. He's been averaging 10 points, 4 rebounds, and that's his first point tonight. The 8th Duke player to score as Coach K starts to show you the length of the bench. All over the board.
Oh, what a great job by Burgess.
Just dominance inside by the Blue Devils.
Second chance points now starting to add up for Duke.
Again,
with 3 guys around him again.
Every time he touches it, Dan, they go down to him.
Oh, nice move.
Oh, nice shot. Avery having a fine ball game. He now has 9.
Boy, that's it's tough to guard a move like that in transition, Tim. And Staples just hasn't been able to find any room at all. Nolan with only 2 points in the half. In fact, Virginia with only 2 points in the half. Staples is not a guy who creates his 3-point shot off the dribble. He generally needs a screen. He's not going to create it himself.
Hand left alone, and he hits the 3. Donald Hand. 45-29.
Virginia continues to play pretty effectively on the defensive end.
3-on-1. Durst banks it in. 5 straight for the Cavaliers.
Curtis Staples he's bleeding. Looks like he got scraped on the arm, and so Staples has a cut or a scrape over there that is bleeding, and by rule, a guy who's bleeding has to come out of the game until the bleeding stops. And Virginia's having enough offensive problems tonight that they can't afford to use Curtis Staples for very long.
Curtis pleading his case to Stan Rote.
Well, what Curtis Staples is saying is, hey guys, how do you think I'm bleeding over here with a cut on, with a scrape on my arm? Don't you think that maybe I got fouled? And that's quite a cut he's got on his arm over there. There's a big time scrape.
(45-31) Duke with 12:22 to play.
Now what? Is that on Nolan?
Foul is on Watson. So for Chesley Watson, that'll be his first.
Ready? Here we go, Blue. Play.
Avery's played a nice ball game there.
Man-to-man for Virginia.
Here's Langdon is fouled.
Going up, and I think they got Watson again.
That's 2 quick ones for Chesley Watson.
Tim, it gives you an indication, talking about Avery, just how versatile the Duke Blue Devils can be. Avery comes in, he knows Wojciechowski's feeling under the weather, feels the need to step it up, and he's got the talent that he can come in and he can step it up.
Every time Duke goes out, too, you see the quality of their bench. 6 talented scholarship guys come off the bench. Everybody gets minutes. Langdon puts this one down. The announcers for the game selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports. Any use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited. Langdon now in double figures.
And then Duke gradually putting the numbers on the board, Tim. It has been a struggle offensively for the Blue Devils most of the game, but their defense has just dominated this affair. And there they create another turnover.
Trajan Langdon starting to be heard from now in double figures, a finalist for the Naismith Award. He's hit double figures all but 3 games this year.
Well, you talk all you want about the Duke bench and how they get contribution from a lot of folks, but when they're getting big numbers from Trajan Langdon, I think they are very, very effective. Virginia stays in the man-to-man. Boy, it really is quiet. There's Staples, another fine defensive play.
And Dersh ahead on the break.
Virginia now with a couple of transition baskets in the second half.
47-33. Cavaliers climbing back in.
Now Virginia's difficulties have been on the offensive end, not the defensive end today, but the Cavaliers now really need to step it up. Somebody's out of bounds over there, and it's Chesley Watson.
11:22 to play. We'll be back after this message from Bud Light.
Points in the first half, stepped it up in the second half. He not only has the glare, he has the game to make that glare fearsome, as he has done a nice job offensively. Duke scoring the first 11 points of the second half. McLeod with 8 points in the second half, and Duke out to the 14-point lead.
It was just a 7-point lead at the half. UVA had 10 turnovers. Nolan and Staples had 18 of the 24 points, but those two have been quiet here in the second half.
And McLeod, that is one of the all-time great players. If he ever wants to go into coaching, he'll scare the life out of his players.
Dersh goes down hard. Battier left alone, and he scores.
Tim, it's really hard to maintain your defensive intensity when you just can't get anything done on the offensive end. There, that time McLeod comes out to double-team Staples, just leaves Hunter alone.
Tough shot by Nolan again. Duke just doing a terrific job on Nolan and Staples.
Basically, they've decided that the other guys from Virginia are going to have to beat them, and unfortunately, the rest of the players from the Cavaliers haven't been able to step up to the challenge.
Boy, what happened to that shot? McLeod wasn't even close.
That was a little too long. Now Virginia with an opportunity to cut back into the lead.
Boy, Nolan took his time getting down court. Looks a little bit winded. Here's Staples, and he's fouled. That should be for 3.
Well, let's see whether they're going to give him 3. And they do say that he was attempting a 3-point shot. Langdon picks up that foul, his 3rd. Tim, and that's something we talked about. Curtis Staples doesn't do that very often. Doesn't very often create a 3-point shot with no screens, just his dribble that time. Tough shot, but he drew the foul. Nothing going well for him.
No, really, it's not. He's a fine free throw shooter, 78% on the season, but he is struggling tonight.
2.
Iron Man averages 39 minutes a game and actually looks a little fatigued tonight. Just shakes his head in frustration.
Well, it has been a struggle this evening. This Duke, they just keep running guys at you.
Hunter goes out, and McAndrew comes in for the Cavaliers. And Curtis hits that one. 49-35. The #1 ranked, top-seeded Duke Blue Devils. A win tonight will earn them the day off tomorrow and then come back for the semis on Saturday. Again, McLeod hits the iron hard, and here come the Cavaliers.
Chance to get within 12. And that's what they haven't been able to get, Tim. They have not been able to get big contributions from the other folks, other than Staples and Nolan.
Last touch by Brand.
In fact, only 2 other guys for Virginia have scored. Hunter has 2, Hand has 7. Well, I guess Dersh has 4 as well. All those coming in the second half.
Here's Staples, finally has a one-on-one. Now Wojo jumps him and takes it away.
Good recovery by Staples. You know, Tim, you said he finally has a one-on-one. Well, Wojciechowski put an end to that. He came over and double-teamed immediately.
Watch how quickly he jumps him.
Well, Wojciechowski sees him coming and just goes and gets the basketball. Now, Wojo looking to pitch it ahead, but great concentration by Staples to jump up and knock that ball away. Oh, what a spin move.
Langdon can't get it to go down, and the foul.
I think they got Brand.
And for Eldon Brand, that'll be number 3. You know, Coach K talked about Brand's return and said it in short term that it could hurt the Devils with him coming back this quickly because it would throw the chemistry off, but yeah, I haven't seen it.
Right.
I haven't seen it. Another look at our Nations Bank ACC Salute to Excellence question. Who is the only Virginia player ever named to an NCAA All-Final Four team? And the answer, Jeff Lamp in 1981. I think what Coach K was talking about was roles changing as Brand came back in, but Brand played the last 3 regular season games and played quite well, and the team adjusted quickly. McAndrew's first point of the night.
Jeff Jones asking his team for some pressure.
Nolan with a rebound, kicks it back out to Hand.
Nolan now with 12 rebounds to go along with his 11 points. 15 double-doubles during the regular season.
Yeah, that's become everyday stuff for him. Hand has it taken away by Wojo, and he gets it right back.
Cheney looking to pass. Sometimes you got to look for that shot, Tim.
Yeah, there's no question. At times, other than Nolan and Staples, you think Virginia really does overpass. Guys pass up shots.
Man-to-man, Duke now content to get set and run the half-court offense.
Shot clock down to 9. Langdon. Battier with the rebound and the putback. He has 9 points.
He was really open. There was nobody around him on the inside when he got that rebound.
Under 8 minutes to play. Staples for 3.
Tim, and he was all alone for that one. It really has been a struggle.
Been so long since he's gotten a shot like that. Couldn't find the rhythm.
Tim, when you get as much pressure as Staples has received tonight, you just expect the pressure to be coming, and so you're trying to shoot the ball quickly before the pressure gets there. And it has been a tremendous defensive effort tonight against Curtis Staples.
Marcaccini goes out, and Norman Nolan will get a little bit of a breather as Brand goes to the line.
I think that's Nolan's first breather of the game. He played all 20 minutes in the first half.
Brand pinches that one, and the Cavaliers come down with it. Well, Brand had a big game against Carolina, 6 for 8, 16 huge points in the comeback against the Tar Heels.
Brand just gives Duke that inside dimension that they lack without him, and there McAndrew going to pick up the offensive foul.
Cavaliers now not playing very smart. 7:35 to go, 51-36. Duke.
Play of the game is a Duke dunk on the inside by Shane Battier. The Devils have struggled on the offensive end for much of the game, but here in the last few minutes they've started to get some easy baskets inside, and Battier has done a nice job for the Blue Devils with 9 points.
And Duke has done a nice job protecting the ball and forcing turnovers. Look at this, 11 Cavalier turnovers to just 1 for the Blue Devils.
Tim, it is always very discouraging when you have almost as many turnovers as you have points in a half. It's hard to make any headway against anyone, but particularly hard against the #1 team in the country.
Tim Brandt and Dan Bonner with you. The Greensboro Coliseum, 7:22 to play in the game. 51-36 Duke. The 45th annual ACC Tournament. NC State beat Florida State earlier tonight, 65-63. This is Wojo. To Nolan. Left side. No foul call. Now the block is called. So McLeod picks up the personal. That's 3 on him. And Nolan will go to the line.
Now this is a play you don't see very often. You don't associate Norman Nolan with getting out on the fast break. McLeod tries to get in position but is not able to do so. Tim, on that particular play, McLeod has to establish legal guarding position, and in the official's judgment he never did so. So when the contact occurs, by rule it has to be a block.
Bangs the first one.
Boy, and Norman Nolan turns away from the free throw line and just looks up at the ceiling. It has been that kind of night offensively for the Virginia Cavaliers.
1,318 career points. 17th on the all-time Virginia scoring list.
And that was an air ball.
And you've got to feel badly for Norman Nolan. Under 7 minutes to play for the Blue Devils, leading over the Cavaliers.
You know, when you can hold this Duke team, this explosive Duke team, to 51 points at this stage of the ball game, you've got to figure you've got a chance, but the Duke defense has been just outstanding.
McLeod banged by Nolan. That's a personal.
That's 4.
Well, Duke has beaten Virginia twice this year. 103-59 in the first one at Cameron, but only 72-65 in Charlottesville. McLeod has now made 90 of his 130 free throws for the year. Curtis goes out. Dersch comes back in for Virginia. McLeod with 11 points.
He's only 4 of 15 from the field, Tim. The Virginia defenders doing a pretty good job making life tough for Rashawn McLeod, but
he's smooth at the free throw line.
Virginia offensively just has not been able to take advantage of the situations they have created with their solid defense.
Staples had a look, but it wasn't long enough. Gets it back to Hand. Shot clock now at 9. Hand for 3.
That's his second three-point basket of the game, and he's now in double figures with 10.
Under 6 minutes to play. And the foul is on Hand, but it's a 14-point game.
since the Duke spurt stretched the lead out, Virginia has been able to cut it to 14 a couple of times, Tim, but they really haven't been able to knock it down any closer than that.
Dan, as you feel the curtain starting to come down on Virginia's season, you just have the feeling that so much is going to change. Norman Nolan, of course, will be done. Curtis Staples will end his career in Charlottesville, and the future of Jeff Jones we won't know for a couple of days.
Man, you have to give Jeff Jones a lot of credit. He really hasn't let the speculation about what his potential future might be interfere with his game preparation and the way he's dealt with his team and his kids. They haven't had the kind of success that they certainly would have liked to have had, but as we've seen in this game, they just keep plugging away. Tremendous effort.
You know, you're right, and so many of the coaches around the conference have said this could be one of his best coaching jobs of his career. With all that speculation, all that disruption, he's kept Virginia playing hard.
Well, he's kept them playing hard. They're Duke not able to claim the rebound. Staples with another opportunity, but isn't able to get it to go. So even when he's had the open opportunities, he hasn't been able to convert them.
5.5 minutes to play.
3 for 10, Staples.
Here's Curtis, has a look.
Jim, that's what we're talking about. He was wide open that time. This man hasn't been wide open all night.
Frustrating for both of them. Hunter gets it back. Ball still loose.
Nice job by Staples.
Staples again for 3.
That's in capsule. That's the story of the ball game for the Virginia Cavaliers. They just cannot put the ball in the basket.
As the clock continues to move, now under 5 minutes. Well, with the tournament realignment, it looks like the #1 seed, as planned, will move on and draw a bye tomorrow. Oh, nice pass. McLeod with the bank.
And Nolan not able to really give him a whole lot of pressure. Nolan with those 4 personal fouls. And so McLeod, even though he has struggled from the field, he's now got 14 points.
Norman Nolan right now just looks exhausted. And who can blame him? Let's go across the court and up into the stands. Here's Mike Hogwood.
Yeah, Timmy, there's a lot of big dignitaries here, and maybe the tallest of them all in the stands is former Virginia Cavalier Ralph Sampson. Ralph, you have to really feel for this team and what your pal Jeff Jones has gone through this year, but these guys continue to fight.
Yeah, they got a good team, and they got some heart. They fighting, and Duke kind of overpowered them this night, but you know, they playing, I think, the best they can right now.
And I know you're one of the big supporters of Virginia basketball, no matter what happens after this game, as we were talking about, maybe some changes in the program, but you'll still be there.
Well, I mean, I'm always be there. Coach Holland out in Kansas City, we like to say hello to, and hopefully he can do a good job out there and come back and visit us. We probably need him today a little bit more, but we always support Virginia 100%, and the program is in good hands with Coach Holland, and whatever decision made will be made for the best of the program.
What about Norman Nolan inside? What a game he's shown tonight, and what heart he's had all year.
All year long, he's been tremendous, and I think he has the opportunity to play at the next level if he puts some work in with his body and stays in good condition and lands in the right place. He's a great inside player, and that's, I mean, it's a tribute to his year. He had a great year.
Certainly did. Back over to Tim Brandt. That's one of the all-time ACC greats.
No question about that, but even Ralph sounds dejected.
Tim, it would be very difficult to maintain a positive outlook. You know, the game is a whole lot easier when the ball goes in the basket, and for the Cavaliers, they just haven't been able to get it to go in the basket tonight. And this is a very difficult way to end what has been a very difficult season.
Under 4 minutes to play. Here's Dersch. And there's another indication of how this game has gone. Hunter turns it over. That's 20 turnovers now for the Cavaliers, and it's all Duke. 57-39 Blue Devils.
Greats in the ACC. Curtis Staples playing in his last ACC game tonight. The all-time leader in the ACC in three-point field goals. Did it January 18th against North Carolina State, but Curtis Staples didn't stop there. In the regular season finale against Florida State. Hits number 410 to set the NCAA career record. Staples from three-point land tonight, however, only 3 for 12. The Cavaliers have really struggled offensively, scoring only 15 points in this half.
3.5 minutes to play, and Duke in command. Shot clock is down to 10. Battier takes it, and Burgess puts it back.
Tim, and that has really been a factor in the second half. Burgess now with 7 points, but Duke able to get 7 rebounds for Burgess. Duke able to get a number of second chance opportunities with offensive rebounds. That has really hurt Virginia. Another turnover, 21.
Curtis Staples was trying to get it inside to Nolan. This was a 7-point game at the half. And the turnover by Chappelle.
It's not like the Blue Devils have blown the doors off offensively in the second half, Tim. They've only scored 30 points in the second half. But their defense has been outstanding. The Cavaliers just not able to get good looks at the basket.
Virginia's falling behind from 7 down to 20 now.
And when Staples has gotten wide open shots, Tim, he has not been able to convert them. And you have to wonder whether the fatigue factor does set in. He has had to work so hard tonight. He may not have anything left in those legs.
Blue Devils in no hurry. Burgess falling away, air ball. Nolan has the rebound. Cavaliers need points. They need a lot of them. They need them in a hurry. Here's Hand.
You know, and even with the game really in the bag for Duke, they are still all over Curtis Staples. He cannot get any room to breathe, much less get a shot off.
McAndrew is called for the personal foul here. Well, there were some questions coming in. Wojciechowski with flu symptoms, as Dan said, slept all day, but came in here and played hard tonight. Once they broke it open and took that 7-point lead and extended it, he got some bench time and some needed rest.
Of course, with that bye, he gets tomorrow off.
Burgess rolls this one in. He has 8 points. There's a look at Wojo.
8.7 rebounds off the bench. The Duke bench has been outstanding. Virginia with only 2 points from its bench.
Nolan with another rebound.
15 rebounds.
You gotta love him. He just keeps pounding. Here he is in the paint. Yes. Norman Nolan with 13 points. Well, only 2 teams since 1977, Duke in '86, Duke in '92, have won the regular season title and the tournament championship. Certainly their goal here, and they're going to have one under the belt and a bye tomorrow. Price with his first bucket. And under a minute to play. Takes a timeout. 20-second timeout.
And I'm telling you, that says something. There's a couple of things that we just saw that really say something about this Duke team. There's 55 seconds left in the game. It's a 21-point game, and you got 2 of your best players diving on the floor after the ball. That basket that Ricky Price just scored, that's a 1,000-point scorer who's in the game at the end with a big lead. That's how deep they are. So not only are they deep, but boy, do they play hard.
Well, the regular season champions and the first team in ACC history to win 15 conference games is going to move on and do it rather easily. 40 seconds to play. They're going to move on, and they're going to do it by a wide margin. But I think that if you talk to the Duke people after the game, they won't tell you that it was an easy thing. It was a struggle the entire game against an intense Virginia team.
Mike Krzyzewski's team finally getting it going a little bit offensively in the second half, but you know that man is extremely proud of the effort that his kids put forth defensively.
Pretty good track record with Coach K, huh? Duke's all-time winningest coach and one of the leading ambassadors of college basketball. Watson and Hunter come in, and there goes Norman Nolan and Curtis Staples playing their final game for the University of Virginia.
And they receive a standing ovation from the folks who are still left here in the Greensboro Coliseum. Not many, but those who are here understand what those guys have contributed to the lore of ACC basketball.
Jeff Jones being very emotional as they come off. A few tears in those eyes. They have given that coach everything during their career. "20 seconds left. Shot clock is off. That'll do it. 63-41. Top-ranked Duke will advance. "14 from McLeod, 10 for Langdon, 9 for Battier, 9 for Burgess, 11 for Avery. And Duke wins at 63-41 over the Cavaliers of Virginia. When we come back, post-game with Steve Martin. Stay with us.
Reckoning time in Greensboro.